Today, I want to talk about Wednesday Addams and Enid Sinclair's relationship in the Netflix series Wednesday, Season 1. Welcome. This is Let's Talk. My name is Hampton Carmine, and I am an author and an avid consumer of character-driven stories. In this series, I offer my thoughts on a variety of topics related to the characters and the circumstances they find themselves in books, TV, films, or my own work. I look forward to your comments and our discussions. The relationship between Wednesday Addams and Enid Sinclair is a hotly debated topic and still burning its way through social media. The debate began almost immediately in Season 1 and intensified since Season 2 has dropped. Many see their Season 1 relationship as a budding romance. Others see it as platonic, a sister, or a best friend. Some viewers even prefer the aromantic, asexual aspect of Wednesday's character. And still others are concerned about a queer relationship between them. Wednesday is one of my all-time favorite shows, and as a romantic, I would love to see a romantic relationship develop between these characters. But for this discussion, I will concentrate on what was actually presented on the screen, either explicitly or with subtle hints. I rewatched Season 1 twice, examining their dialogue, their expressions, their touching, and their actions. I will restrict my observations to Season 1 to avoid spoilers for Season 2. Before we begin, let me lay some groundwork. I am not a therapist. These are my personal thoughts and feelings, admittedly bolstered by many years of study in psychology. And I am not affiliated in any way with the Wednesday series or Netflix. Let's begin with the assumptions I used while examining Enid's and Wednesday's relationship. 1. What is shown on the screen is intentional. Even the foreshadowing hints hidden in subtle camera angles, color choices, throwaway lines, and blocking. 2. In Episode 1, Wednesday tells her mother, "I will never fall in love, or be a housewife, or have a family." Is that foreshadowing? Or is that scene and mood setting? 3. Wednesday and Enid are both teenagers, about 16, and are initially without relationships beyond family and casual friendships. 4. Building a relationship is a complex process, blending attractions, personality, and circumstances. So, as Season 1 unfolds, I will concentrate on Wednesday and Enid's personalities, the circumstances in which they find themselves, and to whom they seem attracted and why. Beginning with Wednesday. Wednesday is extremely intelligent and talented, but presents a cold and distant affect. She strives for perfection and order in others and herself, and is obsessed with being in control of her emotions and surroundings at all times. She has accepted her aloneness as inevitable, believing that feeling and showing empathy or compassion threatens that order and control. She is an introvert, finding socialization difficult, preferring her own company, and openly defying social norms and expectations. Her strong personal moral code drives her to seek justice, not necessarily out of compassion for the victims, but primarily because the perpetrators have broken her sense of morality. She expresses herself in hyperbole and caustic bluntness that comes across as arrogance and further serves to maintain a social distance. She is currently having a difficult relationship with her mother as she tries to break free and become an independent person. While not openly emotional, Wednesday does develop deep bonds with her few friends and her family, showing a compassionate side that is normally hidden, though she does express this in unconventional ways. Her emotions are strong and run deep, though her demonstration of them is usually restricted to micro-expressions and protective actions. She suppresses any desire for companionship and relationship as weaknesses that could upset her carefully balanced control, and initially presents with no romantic attractions towards anyone. Many aspects of her personality, such as her need for control, her preference for routine, her binary thinking about right and wrong, and her social difficulties, all align well with traits we associate with neurodivergence in the real world. Now for Enid. Enid presents a gregarious effervescence and preternatural cheerfulness, and is rarely still or quiet. Her nearly manic activity level serves as a cover for her severe anxiety about being accepted, her loneliness, and her feelings of being socially unanchored. Her lack of self-confidence and teenage inexperience force her to seek companionship and relationship with individuals at a superficial level, while actually needing something much deeper. In addition, she is struggling with an overbearing mother who makes her feel inadequate. But despite her own needs and insecurities, she is brave, selfless, and loyal to her friends, showing empathy and compassion to anyone despite their issues. She tends to avoid situations of intense drama, dangerous circumstances, and is squeamish about blood, body parts, and violence. Though fighting with her own feelings of inadequacy, she is able to see through others' emotional defenses, but she sometimes misinterprets their motivations. Gradually, through the season, Enid learns strength of character, standing up to her mother and even to Wednesday. But she is totally unaware of the depth of that strength that lies buried under her insecurities. Now, what circumstances did Wednesday and Enid find themselves in? They first met as total strangers with polar opposite personalities when they were forced to become roommates, a decision I think that was not accidental. Being roommates require a great deal of physical and social closeness, as well as personal interaction, things that Enid craved and Wednesday despised. To further complicate living together, the personal stakes for both of them was quite high, with Enid being desperate for attention and acceptance, and Wednesday being desperate to run away. Soon after they met, Wednesday noticed Enid crying on the balcony, and with an uncharacteristic note of concern, asked her why. Enid tearfully and openly shared her anxiety about not being able to wolf out, and subsequently being rejected and alone. Wednesday, very much in character, offered her dismissive comments, and Enid told her she just sucked at making her feel better. We may never know why, but from Wednesday's micro-expression, something about Enid allowed her tearful complaint to find a small chink in Wednesday's emotional engagement armor. Wednesday, in a very rare moment of reflection, shared a deep, personal, secret pain from her childhood when she had last cried.
Enid looked intensely at Wednesday for a moment and then accepted her gift, realizing just how rare and special it was. And then she promised to keep it secret. I feel that this first instance of shared secrets set a level of mutual acceptance and trust and was the beginning of the relationship that grew between them throughout the season. First into a true friendship, and then into something more. During the remainder of the season, Enid continued to pester Wednesday with bubbly interactions that were deflected with caustic commentary. It became a pattern of interaction where Enid accepted Wednesday's comments without being insulted, and Wednesday's comments became more automatic and less critical. While many of their interactions were the primary focal points in a shot, other relationship hints were found in the staging of the shots, the subtle camera angles, and the color choices, as well as with one-time throwaway lines or passing expressions. The biggest of these hints were in the myriad of micro-expressions from Wednesday that expressed her true feelings under her mask of non-engagement. Slowly, Enid's non-judgmental acceptance of Wednesday's darkness and aloofness allowed Wednesday to relax around her, and she started including Enid in her dark pursuits, sometimes whether Enid wanted to or not. Enid, no longer intimidated by Wednesday's caustic retorts, began to intervene for her in social circumstances to soften her effect on others. She also pushed Wednesday to join her and her friends in activities around the school. Despite their diametrically opposed personalities, they became good friends. Enid sought dating opportunities with Ajax and a normie as she explored her developing sexuality. While Ajax was a good person, I saw no depth of attraction or relationship from Enid. Just teenage exploration, and the date with the normie was a disaster. Wednesday was courted by Xavier for a time, but she ignored his many efforts. While she seemed intrigued by Tyler, and even attempted a first kiss, again I saw no depth of attraction or relationship from Wednesday. I felt she sensed the darkness in him, and that was what drew her attention, something that her kiss and her vision later confirmed. Eventually, a turning point was reached in their relationship when Wednesday tricked Enid with a fake girls' night out. The power dynamic between them had begun to equalize, and a stronger and more self-assured Enid finally had had enough of being included for Wednesday's benefit and not her own. She stood up for herself, telling Wednesday off and moved out. Initially, Wednesday responded in character with caustic comments and deflection to cover her surprise and hurt. But later in private, she expressed that hurt, acknowledging to herself that she did miss Enid. After a few days, Enid returned, obviously missing Wednesday. When asked why, Enid said, "Because we work. We shouldn't, but we do." With a micro-expression of realization, Wednesday accepted that against all odds, they had become best friends. The true depth of their bond had only been hinted at until the final episode, where, to save Wednesday, Enid wolfs out under a blood moon and risks her life in a bloody battle with Tyler in his Hyde form. Now, the hug. When Enid's battle was over and she had transformed back, Ajax was the first to see her limp, cut, and bloodied. But the first thing she said was, "Where's Wednesday?" Enid finally saw Wednesday coming from her battle with the Pilgrim, also cut and bloodied, and broke away from Ajax, running to her. She grabbed Wednesday in a desperate hug, with eyes filled with relief and love. There is really no other way to interpret Enid's expression. Wednesday in character pushed her back before she really saw, Enid's desperate, love-filled eyes. And her barriers to emotional engagement dropped, letting Enid in fully and deeply. Wednesday then pulled Enid back into the hug with a depth of emotion we hadn't seen from her this entire season, including with her own family. When Wednesday pulled Enid into that hug, Enid fully collapsed into it, completing the bond that they both had so desperately needed. This hug was passionate, their arms surrounding and crushing them together, faces buried in each other's neck. It was a gift they gave each other of shared need and acceptance. Enid had known she needed that acceptance from Wednesday, but I feel that it was only at that moment that Wednesday realized just how much she had needed Enid's acceptance. One of the last scenes showed them walking out of school together, touching shoulder to shoulder in lockstep, comfortable in their yin-yang togetherness. In summary, I feel the showrunners and writers alike walked a fine line, strongly hinting at a romance without ever using the L word, hand-holding, face-touching, or kissing. I see the real question here is not if there is a deep bond between them, but is that bond a deep friendship, a familial, sisterly love, or romantic love? Though the only relationship portrayed this entire season on screen with any emotional depth or chemistry was between Wednesday and Enid, I must ask these questions. At their ages and with their personalities, are they mature enough for the level of commitment and engagement required for romance? And are their feelings of attraction fluid enough to allow it? I must add this note. Wednesday may be the primary character, but the show would be a pale reflection of its current success without Enid, who is far more critical to Wednesday's character and development than just as a comedic personality foil. Thank you for listening. If you found my comments interesting and wish to contribute to this discussion, please subscribe, like the video, and comment.